Hey everybody, welcome to Freedom Talk. I have someone here who's been heavily targeted by the rogue federal government under the Biden administration, Michael Castillero. Michael, we're glad to have you here. I want to ask you a little bit about your story, see how we can come alongside and help you. Freedom Talk, we have Freedom Talk magazine. We do a lot of advocacy, information, deep dives. We have very good connections with people who can help, but we're also forming the People's Tribune Council, which is composed of experienced patriots who are going to come alongside. We're not doing it for money, but we're going to come alongside people and utilize our resources to help bring justice and accountability. So, Michael, maybe you could start by telling us a bit about your story. I know it's difficult sometimes to have to rehash this over and over. And then let's see, once you tell us your story, how we might be able to help you out and get you and your family through this.
So I had a private equity fund, me and two business partners, where we invested in the next top unicorns to go public. For example, Palantir, who's now household name, was probably the biggest holding. We had about 6.5 million shares of the company, around $8, 8 and change. We owned it all across the board. We bought shares off employees of the company, and what we were able to do was then resell them to regular mom and pop investors that didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to invest in these companies. So somebody can invest 10, 20, 30,000 with us. That's what we were facilitating, which was, but Chairman Jay Clayton, who was chairman of the SEC on President Trump's term, wanted to facilitate my industry. So basically, he, under President Trump's leadership, that's where the pump for the growth in my industry came from. See, that's where it all came from. And when 2020 was coming around, and I was like, February 18th, when I was like, this is how they can steal the election from them. They're going to shut the world down and blame it on. They need a hard stop on an economy so it doesn't get reelected. Fast forward to 21, when the election was stolen, puts us in a position where all of a sudden they're coming at. Now, we were what's called, under the eyes of the Securities and Exchange Commission, a exempt reporting advisor. So basically, they just wanted to know that we were doing clean business, be able to see our bank accounts, be able to see how many shares we bought, how many shares we sold, right? I mean, there's no transactions, there's no anything massive for them to have to go into. But being that my business partner was 35 years in brokerage industry, she wanted to be overly compliant with the regulators. So they took voluntary information to build basically a case against us to take the company from us. And then after that, they followed up to build a criminal case because we were getting testy with that. So what do? You go, somebody's bullying you, you go to Big Brother, right? Hey, you got to take care of this. So basically a year later, we got indicted by the Southern District of New York, the most, I'll be sarcastic, the most honest judicial entity in this country.
Yeah, it's opposite day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of like this Superman villain Bizarro. He says things the opposite of what they are. The Southern District of New York does not have a good track record lately, and obviously they've gone after conservatives. We know that Arctic frost has happened where the Biden DOJ, and I say Biden DOJ loosely because I think he was largely a puppet, but it's just obvious that these power brokers have gone after American people based on their political affiliations, their beliefs, their fidelity to American values. So the question becomes, all of these people who were targeted, like you, who are still suffering under this, what can we do for them? And I know, Michael, Sam Sorbo and I, for the parents, we formed the Parents Demanding Justice Alliance. We've gone on just about every show you can imagine. I know you're trying to go on shows and get awareness, but what has helped you so far, and where are you at this point? Because you have gone on some shows. Have you gotten any relief from that? Has it helped your situation at all?
No, not really. It's just, I'm just mad and I don't want to take it anymore. The thing that's blessed me is that X, I can attest to X, me being a pest on X, and it has led me to, Peter Tickton's helping me with the department, because I can't live 2 more years for an appeal. Forget about emotionally and how draining that's been on my life. But what has caused my wife and kids, the stress, and I forget about that, just keeping the lights on. I can't even drive for Uber or Lyft. They turn me away.
I'm really sorry your family's going through this. We're going to do everything we can. The People's Tribune Council is just forming, but we have some really good, experienced patriots. We have people who are well connected. We have some initial members, but we're going to draw in some more people. And Michael, what we want to do is make it so you're not so isolated, that we find people perhaps with common concerns. I know of one already where you can come alongside and help one another out, share resources. We want to help give you a voice. We want to have people who can look into things, really take into account what you're going through, and then push for you. And honestly, Michael, what needs to happen is that we don't need to be fighting for our individual cases, bleeding our families dry, wasting the time, emotions, our lives to get justice that was deprived from us. We need to go as the People's Tribune Council to President Trump and say we need a massive solution at this point, because it's not just individuals. Like the Senate voted themselves special legal privileges if they were affected by Arctic frost. Well, that doesn't do anything for the rest of us. So what we're doing is we're getting together people, we're getting together all the voices we can and saying we need a big solution to a big problem, huge problem. You matter individually, your family matters. My family took in Felicia Conald, was walking around the Capitol on January 6th, went through that whole nightmare hell, was sentenced to prison and had nowhere for her child to go. She's a single mom. And so we fostered her child. We thought it could have been for 4 years. Thankfully, because she's a mom, the judge showed some leniency and ended up being just a few months. But she's still struggling because of what happened with J6. Even though she's gotten a pardon, it's not a pardon of innocence. So she has trouble finding work and keeping work because of that reputation that follows her around. So we mobilized people in her area to make sure she was taken care of. We even had people with building skills come over and do some needed repairs to her house. So what we want to do is I think something different than what you've experienced. Yes, we want to give you the exposure. We want to help you tell your story, but we want to bring solutions, because people say, well, where is the power of this? Well, the power is in each of us getting involved, in each of us having some hope and energy that we, the people, can stand up for one another. Kind of like if you've seen that movie, A Bug's Life, all the ants link arms. So I want you to know, first of all, you're not alone. I know this is a very difficult time. People are working on your behalf already, and we're kind of getting through the holidays where we can't get as much done as we'd like, but we're gonna work on your behalf. I can relate because we were highly persecuted in Tucson for standing up for what was right. I was sentenced to 100 days in jail. They stole $10,000 out of our home sale, orchestrated the armed takeover of our business. I was fraudulently found guilty by a very crooked magistrate. That whole story's there, but I was facing, do I appeal? They just stole $10,000 out of our home equity when we moved. I'm looking at another $10,000 for a retainer, and I thought, well.
That is never ending.
Yeah, then it's never ending, because
Right.
I can go be put in a jail system where I think they probably would have tried to have me killed. That's where they put Derek Chauvin, where he got stabbed 21 times. Or I can go through this nightmare and bleed our family dry. And I just decided I'm not going to take either of those options. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to be a whistleblower. There's still a warrant for my arrest in Tucson. I know that's different because these weren't federal charges, but I understand the stress because I sat in 3 days.
They want to take my homes. They want to take my home where my kids live. I mean, they have them frozen. They have all my money still frozen 4 years later. And they took my company stating it was a Ponzi-like scheme. And the receiver that Judge Kaplan gave the company to has made over $30 million in 4 years. So how do you, how's any team still operate?
Did anybody suffer economic loss because of it?
No, because
And I saw this with another group where someone started an alternative YouTube and got investors for that so that it wouldn't be censored. The FCC basically shut them down and then arrested this person for not delivering on the promise to the investors. So they were both the block, the impediment, and the judge and jury on that. And it just was right. And we've seen this all over. I'm really glad you're taking this time, Michael. I'll be sure and share this story beyond sharing stories, beyond talking and trying to get on different shows in the news cycle that stories come and go. We want to really work on this for you and do everything we can. So definitely keep talking. I know you know David Summerall. You talked to David Summerall. David is really a force behind what we're doing here. So we will do our best. We have not only the opportunity and the right, but we have the duty to evaluate our leaders. And right now, lawfare has become a common word. I was writing about that back in 2022. We all know what's happening, but what can we do about it? What we can do is use some common sense and call it for what it is and oppose it and stand up to it.
So I think I texted you yesterday. I had once my civil rights got violated.
Yeah.
So Judge Furman was another outstanding Obama appointed judge who was in the criminal case. So I had the backdoor for Judge Kaplan to basically exploit all attorney-client privilege from the civil case. So to give basically the prosecution more out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because, they'll take 10 things and they'll look at one word on the first thing, and on the fifth thing they'll look at another word, and then they'll make their own truth of something that doesn't even exist. They'll fabricate whatever they need to do. These AUSAs, I don't understand how they're not held accountable for anything and everything they do. Yeah. So I tried to reach out to Miss Army Dillon to reach out to her for
and I wanted to unpack that because I'm not impressed at all with Pam Bondi and some others in DC for various reasons I won't go into now. I've liked Harmeet Dillon's energy and commitment. We both came out of Arizona. I've talked to her. I wasn't impressed the other day with her caustic approach. I understand they get frustrated, but can you tell me just a little bit? I want to be objective here, but I want to get your assessment of your experience with Harmeed.
I'll tell you about Harmeed, and then we can go into top ledge after that.
Sure.
So through Harmeed, when my civil rights were violated, basically blatant violation of attorney-client privilege, somebody that knows her basically giving her information to, you need to reach out to her. This is not fair what they're doing to you. She should be able to help. She cares. She wants to help. I texted 1, 2, 3, 4 times the same that long, the really, really long text I sent you on the story and kind of what happened. No reply, no reply, no reply. Post the day after the indictment, I sent another short text. I finally got a reply. And basically, you need to get a private lawyer and you need to call this guy or email this guy. And so basically she gave me a dead end because that's where I led. Do they not care, or are they that busy, or are they afraid?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is, I guess, the text that you sent her. And if you want me not to share this publicly, I'll just cut it out or record it.
You could share it. I mean, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. I've been told to hide and not say a word from my lawyers and so on. But then nobody knows, right? And then I get pulled away, and then I get put in jail for a crime I didn't commit.
And this is something that I've seen with some of the parents, including one of the parents in Philadelphia, who actually came to a press conference we organized on Capitol Hill, Vindicating Parents press conference sponsored by Representatives Andy Ogles and Andy Biggs. And these parents have been ignored. They've been put off. And, like this parent in Pennsylvania has done all the paperwork. I work for the DOJ, so I have a conflict. Sorry. So I guess she was saying she can't represent you legally. I understand that. But if she's in this position, why would she say she can't help you? Isn't that the whole purpose of the DOJ?
Listen, shouldn't be disciplining her AUSAs for doing what happened. That's her job then, right? If she's a boss, she should follow up on who's necessary properly. That's all I was trying to do. I'm not trying to say, hey, block this out or whatever. I'm basically...
She's the assistant attorney general, the highest attorney in the land that's supposed to evaluate all the legal interactions in the country, and she can't help you? Who is supposed to help you?
Right.
Okay, so she then refers to Todd Blanche. Let's see. You need a private attorney to seek a meeting with Akash Singh, I don't know who that is, or Todd Blanche, or one of Todd's deputies. I can't help. We didn't elect this administration to say, I can't help. And why should you need an attorney? How many private citizens have access or the funds to get an attorney? So you said Todd Blanche had told us a meeting would happen before Labor Day, and we're still waiting on it. Anyone else I could contact? Thank you for your time, and sorry for the bother. Contact his Deputy Chief of Staff, Brian Nieves. Good guy. Well, I appreciate the referral, but this is what parents have experienced. They're told somebody's got to meet with him, and then the can's kicked down the road. We're sent to someone else, who sends us to someone else, who sends us to someone else. Where does the buck stop? Did you contact this Brian Nieves?
Of course I did. I sent him an email, and I'm still waiting. Just like I'm waiting. So to elaborate a little bit on the Todd Blanche that you promised this meeting, about 7 or 8 competitors, colleagues, whatever you want to call them in my industry, vocal beliefs, Staten Island residents or came from Staten Island, that Staten Island's predominantly red, Staten Island, New York, were the ones that they basically came after. There's other funds still operating. Either they're not vocal on their beliefs, or, that maybe to be safe, they play the other side of the fence or whatnot. So I know these things without certain people, with their weaponization and so on. So my other competitors through their counsel, were in touch with Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche actually replied, I had the email read to me over the phone. Todd Blanche says he wants to meet with every company in the industry, in this pre-IPO industry they got taken advantage of. That was right before Labor Day. And a meeting will happen. A meeting will happen. That's all they can. And then they were like, and then my colleagues were saying, you need to see Peter Tickton could push the meeting on. But Peter Tickton was also in the middle of uncovering that Todd Blanche was holding pardons back, which that's what Peter Tickton's heavily working on for everybody who's been weaponized against.
Let me lay out the scenario here. The Biden administration, under the Merrick Garland, Lisa Monaco, DOJ, enacted multiple campaigns utilizing FBI, utilizing all the resources of the federal government to go after their political enemies, from people like me, who was just a dad, private business owner, to you, to others, and going all the way up to people like, public figures like Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani, but also, yes, senators and congressmen. so when the government shut down, the Senate voted itself special legal privileges, ostensibly funded by the taxpayer, to be able to sue these people in the DOJ. They have no immunity. They can sue for a minimum of $500,000 per infraction. So if Lindsey Graham got his phone tapped, every time it got tapped, ostensibly he can sue for a whole lot of money for that. Then some people cried foul on that and said, what about the rest of us? And get this, Michael, you may be aware of this, but the entire House of Representatives, both sides of the aisle, unanimously voted to repeal this special privilege, which, by the way, violates the 14th Amendment. And then it went to the Senate. Lindsey Graham and John Thune blocked it from even getting into the Senate to be repealed. Who's benefiting from that? It's a legal term called self-dealing. They've self-dealt themselves special privileges that none of the rest of us get. Those of us who don't have power, who don't have money, we're supposed to just go find a lawyer with what money after our lives have been destroyed? With what money? And we're told by DOJ, we don't have time for you. We can't help you. Go talk to this person. The can is kicked down the road. The American people are getting a raw deal here because we're left out in the cold. We're left out on our own. The golden age in DC, they pulled up the drawbridge. They're going to help one another. They're going to help themselves. They're going to self-deal. But the rest of us are out in the cold. And this doesn't sit well with me. This doesn't sit well with a lot of patriots like Alex Newman, like Joe Hoff, like David Summerall, Tamara Lee, me, Sam Sorbo, Seek Smith. And there are others who are going to come along with this because what's happening is that it's a two-tiered system. And this school father in Pennsylvania said, in some ways, what's happening now is worse than what we experienced under the Biden administration, because at least we didn't expect the Biden administration to do the right thing. And I like to look at it this way, Michael. I talked to Victor Marx once. I did a series called Fathering in a World Gone Bad. And Victor is very open that he experienced physical abuse growing up from his father. And I talked about being ignored and neglected, not physical abuse, but just not being made to feel like I mattered. And Victor Marx said to me, in some ways, neglect is worse than abuse, because at least if you're being abused, you're getting some attention. The left has abused us and the right is neglecting us. It's plain and obvious, to the point where Sam Sorbo, who co-founded Parents Demanding Justice Alliance with me, who's been very patient and saying, Kelly, work with the system, don't alienate people. She has co-signed a letter with me and with others on the Parents Demanding Justice Alliance, giving the DOJ an ultimatum that by January 15th, we need to have this executive order for the parents. We need to have a letter of apology from the DOJ and the ceremony with President Trump honoring these parents by January 15th, or we're going to go to all the media, including the mainstream media, and tell them that this administration has failed us. What a disappointment for us. We believe President Trump isn't being given the full story. We believe that's what I say. By people like Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi, they're telling him everything's great, but it's not. And he is going to hear from the people. So I want you to know that, yes, we're doing this for the parents. I'm very focused on that, but there are others who can be very focused on your issue. For example, there's a young lady, her husband just had to report to prison December 19th for doing something with cryptocurrency, probably similar thing to you where he was attacked politically. I'm just getting information on this.
I connected with Keon before he went.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm ready.
Connected a little bit. We compared notes and it's basically the same playbook.
Great. Okay, good. Because Michael Lauber, who I was just on his Ex-American News show, good friend and ally, he's spearheading that for the People's Tribune Council, really focusing his attention on that. So we don't lack being in the right. We don't lack having the legal right to stand up and evaluate our leaders and stand for one another and not have to even do this to lawyers. What we lack is the organization and the coherence to do it. So what we're going to do is organize this, get people together and start demanding justice, because unfortunately, a lot of people in Washington, D.C. think it's a privilege to get their attention, that it's a privilege if they take up our case. It's not a privilege. It's a duty they have. It's a responsibility. It's a constitutional right that we have to seek redress of our grievances and to receive it, not gone a wild goose chase being passed from desk to desk.
You want to talk about privilege? Brian Mast, my congressman in Martin County, Florida. Every time, from the day this happened, I reached out to him. I know he was very aligned with President Trump and so on, and emailed. Okay, this is what you need to get out of vote, right? I did my civic duty. I voted every time, voted right across the board, Now that President Trump's back in office, I continue to email about my issues, and his staff actually brought me back and told me he's too busy. He's not even going to look at this. I'm sorry, that's smack in the face. So what? I mean,
yeah.
So you tell me that you're too busy when my property taxes puts money on.
I don't accept that. Sorry, I'm just actually texting Lauren Rodriguez and Michael Lauber right now to say that you had talked to Lauren's husband.
Connected with Lauren too via X.
Great. Well, this is what we need to do, come together. And I've been told similar things things too. And I've had congressmen, very publicly, Eli Crane goes on, he's a good friend of mine, and he talks about how worthless and self-interested most of Congress is. And I believe it was Andy Biggs recently from Arizona. I know him as well from having been in Arizona. He basically said Congress is irredeemable. So this is the time for the people to step forward and to say, we matter. We have civil rights. We have constitutional rights. Here, I'm going to say something that may seem inflammatory. And we do appreciate and respect everything Trump's done. We know there's some good people in the administration. But if this administration, regardless of the letter R or D that's behind their name, we're going to fight the abusers and we're going to fight the neglectors, because what matters is the people, because we are the government. We are the basis of the whole reason it exists. We don't exist to serve them. They exist to serve us, and they need to be reminded of that. And I don't say fight with arms. I mean, we're going to show up. We're going to be president. We're not going to take no for an answer. And Michael, God bless you. We're here for you. If I was an Elon Musk, I'd take care of your family's needs. I wish I could do that, but we've been in that situation many times where we had nothing. We moved here from Arizona and I was making good money. And then because of the Chinese Communist Party, all that went away at once. And, it's not easy to find a new job. It's not easy when you're, I'm 56 now to go out and find something right away. So we've been there, we've done that. We're still kicking. We're still alive. You're going to get through this, and we're going to be here to walk you through it. Talking with Lauren, talking with that crew is really good. I'm going to put you in touch with Michael Lauber. We're not going to let this drop. We're not going to. Yeah, absolutely. And so what we want to do, I'm still working on the process of the People's Tribune Council, but
I mean, if we could get a Ted Martin, so you could just finally review the application, even though Peter ticked it. I mean, he's things done quicker, but sometimes you know how it is. I want it to be to the point that when they get there, it's like, oh, I saw his story. I was able to look into his story to an extent, not just a bunch of words on paper. Because
no words. And I have Ed Martin's number. Neil McCabe is chief of staff. I visited with him twice. Ed knows my heart. I think Ed has a good heart, but I think somebody's holding him back. I have some reason to believe Todd Blanche may be involved in holding him back from doing justice, but we're going to break through that, because nobody is going to stop the American people from getting the justice that we deserve and that we're entitled to. And if Todd Blanche is blocked, I'm going to bring some people up to talk to Todd Blanche. We're going to hold these people accountable. They can't stop our feet. They can't stop us from showing up. And while the People's Tribune Council is not going to ask for donations, I'm thinking about seeing if there's some way that some of us who are serving as volunteers can get some help with transportation. But if necessary, we'll jump in our dented minivan and head to Washington, D.C., which we've done more than once. I'm not going to take no for an answer.
What you guys are doing is something that really needs to be done. And I want to accelerate my problems being over so I could find a way to help, because there's got to be millions of people that we don't even know about that just either have lied down or just don't have the means or the resources or the mental fortitude because of the beating your brain takes trying to do these things. A year ago, I could tell you that I didn't want to breathe. Now I am angry and I am mad, and this is why I'm trying to get as much eyes on my story, because it's almost like if somebody out there doesn't know my story, they're just going to make a paper airplane out of the application, throw it in the garbage, and that's the way I feel, unfortunately.
Well, you can help, and you do have power, and one thing you can do is spread the word about the People's Tribune Council and get more people on board. And what we need is people who have hope and people who believe that we can make a difference. And it hinges on that courage and that belief in the American people. Because if we doubt, if we retreat into defeat and self-doubt and just think the giant is too big, then no, we can't do it. I'm one guy. I have no money. Everything was taken from us. And I credit this to God, but I've been able to do a lot. We have to have the tenacity. And look, I was just thinking, Michael, today, like every story, think of the Lord of the Rings or so many stories, the Avengers, these things we watch and that inspire us, fiction or not. It always comes to a point where, say, the Fellowship of the Ring, they're outnumbered, they're desperate. Think of what was it, Gimli the dwarf said?
Small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
We have to get to this point where we're willing to sacrifice for our country. And this is one thing that I'm writing into the duties and responsibilities of the people who want to step forward as tribunes. We have to be willing to give up to our lives. We have to put everything on the line for the American people and for our country. There are a few individuals who will do that. There are a lot of profiteers. We have to believe in this. And I wrote something down this morning. I'm going to get a little personal here, a little theological. I'm not a morning person, but I woke up at 5 a.m., you might say, pregnant with thought. And two things came to my mind. One is from Psalm 34. It says, the Lord is near to those who have a broken heart, and such as have a contrite spirit, or that are crushed in spirit is another way to say that. I thought of, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. The world tends to think of the big stages, the pyrotechnic, the lights, the names, the number of followers. I don't think God's there I think he can be. But I think where God is most present is like the Sermon on the Mount.
Mm-hmm.
People who are suffering, who are going through it, have been persecuted. You know, in Psalm 34, it also says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. The way we win is through truth and virtue and standing together. It's not even through law and politics. Those are good tools, but it's just like John Adams said, and a lot of people know this quote, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
A lot of people in Washington have forgotten what the Constitution says.
Yeah.
And they're just worried about filling their pockets. They don't care who they hurt.
No, they don't. They're very, very self-interested. The truth is this, Michael, if our nation doesn't act rightly and bring righteous justice, if they're not helping the widow, the fatherless, the oppressed, those who are unjustly put into prison, then our country isn't going to be long for this earth, because this country has to be built on virtue and righteousness. People who claim to be Christians, but who are going to walk past that bleeding man in the ditch because they're too important, they're missing the whole point of Christianity. They're missing the whole point of humanity. This has to be of, by, and for the people, not for the rich, not for the privileged. This is what the People's Tribune Council is going to do. And part of what we need to do is bring this country back to those roots, back to those Christian ethics that everybody matters, everyone's equal in God's eyes. It's starting small, but every voice matters. Your voice matters. Thank you for coming on today and telling your story, Michael, and we'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to help you spread your story as well, and People's Tribune Council, because we have to, like you said, everybody, they have to have a bigger voice together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if we get siloed and only concerned about our certain issues, like I have fought a lot for targeted parents because I'm one of them. I'm perhaps the most highly targeted and persecuted parent in the country, definitely somewhere at the top of the list. But if I only focus on that one issue, if I only focus on myself and my family, I'm easy to pick off. In truth, my wife and I walked away from a big potential settlement, and we chose not to focus on ourselves so that we could help other people. It's been a sacrifice. I don't want everybody to make that sacrifice.
That's what I want after this. That's all I'm going to do. I want to help find anybody else. I want to preemptively find a way to come up with something that if somebody, the government's doing something like they're doing to me, I can find a way to provide their livelihood, because I'm at a point like, I don't know how in January the lights are going to stay on. You know what I mean? In my house. It's that's how bad it's gotten. And it's not even going to get a job. It's not even going to do anything, because they also make you unemployable.
Well, let's work on that. We have some people who can help you be very resourceful. We'll turn over every cent we can for that. But I just want to thank you for having that heart, that even as you're going through this, you ask for others, and that's something that's usable. And we want you on board. I think your situation will turn around. Just stay strong, stay courageous. We'll be working on your behalf. But I think it's beautiful that you're willing, even in your own pain. And I know how hard this is on families. I've watched my wife cry many times from the depression. I've literally held other people while they're crying from the stress. But just that attitude that you're already looking beyond yourself, that's something that's beautiful. And I want to thank you for that, Michael.
I mean, it's the only right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not everybody has the fire inside, or to really keep pushing that extra. I mean, it got hard for me. It was taken from me. And then when I was able to meet Peter Ticklen last June, July, my fire got started back up. Up until then, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And if the other one got elected, God forbid, Koppel, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. We'd probably all be in cell having the same conversation.
Yeah, for real. Well, we're not ungrateful for things Trump has done. We're not ungrateful for the good people in the administration, but we need some big changes. We have, if you read the Declaration, we have the right to alter or abolish the government. Right now, it's not enough. So we're going to come forward. We're going to offer to help first and foremost, but we're also going to demand that people like you aren't forgotten, aren't put aside, aren't treated as less important. So for me, I never give up. If I'm not dead, I won't quit. And I'll put my life on the line for you, for your family, for everyone. My wife
truly appreciate that.
stands behind that too. So
I mean, if you're up to Texan Ted and Martin for me, that's a great one.
I'll do one better. I'll go up and visit him. I'm just waiting for the next opportunity to go to DC, and I think we're going to come with a lot more people this time. Because if we just stand individually, try to get on the shows, try to get somebody to listen. If we're alone and siloed, I mean, literally, I won't say who it is, but I had somebody basically say, "Oh, what are you parents going to do? Oh, you show up. What are you going to do? Wait and see. Wait and see." That's all I had to say. This is starting at the ground level. It's grassroots, but this discontent, this suffering by people who have been wrongly persecuted. There's a lot of us out there, and we're going to tap into that, and we're going to channel it. We're going to get justice for people like you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Keep talking. All right.
Who was that ant that stood up to me? Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss, they're beauty.
Puny. Say, let's pretend this brain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
Nope.
Well, how about this one?
Are you kidding?
Well, how about this? You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay?
Today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need FreedomTalk magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to FreedomTalk magazine and join the new American Renaissance.